Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching this episode of Something to Think About on the American Doofus channel. We've got a few things to think about, including solar weather. On the last episode, we talked about an incoming coronal mass ejection. There have actually been three ejections coming towards the United States now, since two more since our last update. And let's just listen to Ben Davidson.
Good morning, folks. How apropos that during the week we take to spend time with the family, the sun goes crazy. Did you miss me, big guy? We'll watch the last 2.5 days here a couple times, so hopefully you can pick out the eruptive events. I see at least two that should have put a CME in Earth's direction, maybe three. The good news is that even with multiple events incoming, they are all moderate intensity. Even Earth's weakening magnetic field will be able to handle them. They were C-class flares, not M or X-class, and smaller filament eruptions, but still. With both of those events incoming, plus that's an enormous coronal hole, which means we'll also take a coronal hole stream towards the end of the week, we could get strong geomagnetic storms. Now, with that level of storm, we still won't see global grids going down, but we could see significant electrical disruptions and localized or even regional scales. This includes not only grid issues, but aviation problems, telecom, navigation, entertainment like the PlayStation Network. It is quite fitting. We've said for months that the sun should begin producing these eruptions middle of August, and here we are. Without doubt, the most space weather to be aimed at Earth in months. That's the forecasting power of the 5.9-month cycle, and it is gearing up now. High possibility of more events coming in the coming days. Eyes open for aurora reaching mid-latitude where the geomagnetism peaks, and for those non-catastrophic but potentially disruptive electrical issues for the remainder of the weekend.
So there we go. Not catastrophic, but potentially disruptive solar activity coming our way. It should start on the East Coast of America. If there are going to be impacts, it should start on Tuesday, tomorrow, sometime around 6 to 7 p.m. is what's estimated. And then we'll see what happens through the rest of the week. So not only one, but at least two and possibly three coronal mass ejections heading towards Earth, as well as the possibility of a more significantly powerful ejection coming later on this week. And of course, as always, we will keep our eyes open and let you know if anything is indeed going on. So that takes us to the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, who just can't seem to get out of the news. And we have several different things to be talking about. First of all, the documents that were taken from the former president's residence at Mar-a-Lago, assumed to be confidential. Russia has started weighing in, Russian media, which we haven't shown for a while because of the ban on talking about the war in Eastern Europe. This is not about the war in Eastern Europe, so hopefully this doesn't get us blocked or banned. This is Russian media talking about the former president of the United States.
Оказывается, против Трампа расследуется дело о пропаже секретных документов из Белого дома, которые касались разработок нового ядерного оружия США. При этом, что это за оружие, что в итоге нашли в особняке у Трампа, на этот счет ФБР не сообщает. Хотя, очевидно, если важные документы и были, то их...
And saying, obviously, if there's any documents, we in Russia would have them. Don't automatically assume that to be true. Don't automatically assume that to be false. Let's just let all of this play out and see how things unwind. Crap. Again, It could be true. He could have already shared the documents with Russia. It could be totally false, and Russia is just trying to create more division within the United States. But nonetheless, that is their report. Now, this came just about a half an hour ago from the former president himself. He earlier issued a statement, an interview with Fox, saying that terrible things will happen if he's not left alone. This is what he says on Truth Social, his media platform. Wow. Well, in the raid by the FBI of Mar-a-Lago, they stole my 3 passports. 1 expired, along with everything else. This is an assault on a political opponent at a level never before seen in our country, third world. The assault is not on our country. The assault, if there is such a thing, is on the former president himself and nobody else. He's trying to share the blame and responsibility with the whole country, when in fact it solely rests on him. The question, why 3 passports? And they didn't steal them, they confiscated them. Why would they confiscate his passports if they did? Now, there are different things that could play out here. He could be not telling the truth. I mean, that would not be something that would people would find astonishing if he was lying about all this. Second thing is, they could be possibly diplomatic documents that should be in the National Archive, and that's why they took them. Or they know a lot more than we know, and he's in a lot more trouble than has been publicly presented, and he's aware of that, and they are afraid he might try to leave the country. Those are the 3 things that could possibly be going on. Again, time will tell. Let's let everything play out and see what happens. And Australia, New Zealand, Aussie and Kiwi sink as China recoveries falter. China is in deep financial trouble, according to reports, and this week could find that the China economy is basically collapsed, which just makes things more dangerous as far as potential conflicts between the United States and China. And finally, we talked about 2 episodes ago, 2 or 3 episodes back, we talked about the internal memo that went out to the Department of Justice. We now have information from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. They have federal authorities are warning of an increase in threats to law enforcement officials following the FBI's search of former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. The threats, which are, quote, occurring primarily online and across multiple platforms, including social media sites, web forums, video sharing platforms, and image boards, were identified by the FBI and Department of Homeland Security in the days following the FBI's authorized seizure of 11 sets of classified documents from the former president's home, including 4 sets that were classified top secret, according to the unsealed search warrant. The FBI and DHS would like to ensure the law enforcement, court, and government personnel are aware of the range of threats and criminal and violent incidents, end quote, the memo read. Also, the internal intelligence memo was shared with state, local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement officials nationwide, and that was late Friday night. We're just finding out about it today. According to the bulletin, the FBI and DHS have observed an increase in violent threats posted on social media against federal officials and facilities, including a threat to place a so-called dirty bomb in front of the FBI headquarters and issuing general calls for civil war and armed rebellion. Again, this comes from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. That includes threats that are, quote, specific in identifying proposed targets, tactics, or weaponry, end quote, the bulletin noted. Again, quoting, since 8 August 2022, the FBI and DHS have identified multiple articulated threats and calls for the targeted killing of judicial, law enforcement, and government officials associated with the Palm Beach search, including the federal judge who approved the Palm Beach search warrant, end quote. The bulletin does continue with quoting, the FBI and DHS have also observed the personal identifying information of possible targets of violence, such as home addresses, identification of family members, disseminating online as additional targets, end quote. Otherwise, massive doxing is going on. The unveiling of personal information on the internet to potentially cause harm. The assessment noted that 3 days after the search, quote, Ricky Schiffler Jr., wearing a tactical vest and armed with an AR-style rifle and a nail gun, attempted to forcibly enter the FBI's Cincinnati field office, end quote. By the way, below in the description to this video, you will find you'll find my 3 novels that are currently available for sale on various platforms. And my last novel, the latest novel, is called America, Land of the Greed, Home of the Grave. And the FBI Cincinnati field office plays a pivotal part in that book. Just something to think about. Hours before Shifter standoff, he had appeared to post on former President Donald Trump's social media platform, Truth Social, that he wanted to kill federal agents. That has been since deleted. The post, which had been since removed by the site's moderators, apparently appeared shortly after the FBI searched the former president's Mar-a-Lago residence last Monday. Quote, when they come for you, kill them, end quote, the suspect wrote. Quote again, be an American, not a steer, end quote. The posts represent just a fraction of the violent extremist content flooding far-right message boards, social media platforms in the wake of the FBI's search of the Mar-a-Lago resort. Phrases including, quote, civil war, quote, lock and load, end quote, trend across Telegram channel, Gab, Reddit, and the Donald, a popular forum among Trump supporters. Quote, as a result of recent activities, we assess that potential targets of DVE, domestic violent extremists, we assess the potential targets of DVE violence moving forward could include law enforcement, judicial officials, individuals implicated in conspiracy theories, and perceived ideological opponents who challenge their worldview, end quote. The joint bulletin continues. It warns that events could, quote, escalate the threat environment further, including, quote, possible future law enforcement or legal actions against individuals associated with the Palm Beach search. Statements by public officials which incite violence, such as terrible things are going to happen, which is what Donald Trump said in the Fox interview. Statements by public officials which incite violence, high-profile successful DVE attacks, again, domestic violent extremists that inspire copycats, or the emergence of additional conspiracy theories, end quote. Additional conspiracy theories such as Russia got the documents, Trump gave the documents to Russia. That's why I said during that piece, don't jump to conclusions. Let's make sure we let all this play out, because the potential for danger is indeed very real. The bulletin also states that the threats seen so far since the search point to the possibility that domestic violent extremists could see the 2022 midterm elections in November as, quote, an additional flashpoint around which to escalate threats against perceived ideological opponents, including federal law enforcement personnel, end quote. So for the next few months, the threat of domestic violent extremists should be taken seriously, according to the FBI and to the Department of Homeland Security. ABC News was the first to report on this intelligence briefing. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Something to Think About on the American Doofus channel. We will be back live very soon to discuss this and more. And we look forward to your comments in the comments section. We look forward to you hitting that like button, please. And if you're not a subscriber, consider doing so. If you are a subscriber, make sure you got the notification bell clicked on. And of course, hit that like button if you would. If you want to help support the channel, Cashapp, American Doofus, AMERICANDUFUS, all one word. If you'd like to email me, it is Gmail, American Doofus, again, all one word, at gmail.com. Thank you again for watching. Respect to everyone and peace upon our great land. May it be more than just a saying. May it someday be true. For at the moment, we are on the precipice of, to quote the former president, terrible things.